There's so many discussions about securing a company's infrastructure. And we started talking about compliance versus security and security versus compliance. What existing threats today? You go to a lot of conferences. You obviously listen to a lot of different, smart people. And I think you're speaking in New Jersey, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit about, what you've got going on. But what are some of the threats that scare you the most today?
That's a great question. I think the scariest part is what you don't know. I think the scariest part are the people, because you don't know when somebody's going to accidentally do something that's going to cause a huge, huge issue.
And know about it.
Yeah.
Know that they did it.
Yeah.
People do the phishing tests all the time, right?
Right.
In an organization, I'm sure you've done plenty of them in your career. I was at a lecture about 6-7 months ago for the Electronic Crime Task Force that the Secret Service has here in Atlanta. Kevin Walsh.
Oh, wow.
I love Kevin.
Yes.
And he's, when people call me and they say, well, I'm not sure I should call him, I was like, well, you can just call Kevin and talk to him. And honestly, like he's not trying to put you in jail. He doesn't want to make you look bad. He for as far as he's concerned, he's like, just give him the data, let him help you deal with it.
Right.
I think that law enforcement, whether it be the FBI or Secret Service in Atlanta, is insane, but they're great. They're just, I think Chad Hunt and his team at the FBI and Kevin Walsh and his team at the Secret Service are awesome. And if you're from the Atlanta area and you don't know them, then please reach out to us and we will introduce you to these guys. You want to know them. You don't want to not know them when you get the phone call. I promise you that. But we were at a presentation by a chief information security officer for a very large organization here in Atlanta. And he was talking about his phishing numbers. And he was talking that only about 15% of the organization failed the phishing test.
That's good.
That's great. My question, though, was how many of those 15 that failed it realized that they failed it? Like reported the fact that I think I may have clicked on the wrong link. Because to me, that's the ultimate test. That's the number. That's my secret sauce. My secret sauce is how many people really clicked on it, realized they may have clicked on something bad. I hate the phishing test where once you click on it, it goes, this was a phishing test and you just failed. Please complete this training. And your boss is going to know about this. I don't like those phishing tests because I feel like once you've clicked on that link and you've realized you failed, you've learned nothing from it. And you're just, I think that the psychological, and this again comes from my different background in cyber, is my psychological attitude at that point is I just failed at something that my boss is going to know about, that his boss is going to know about. I'm going to appear on a list. So now I'm worried I'm going to get written up or something bad's going to happen. I got to do this training, which I'm not really listening to because I'm frustrated and I'm worried about what just happened to me. I like the phishing test where the employee gets it, doesn't realize he got it, clicks on the link, and then he goes, wait a minute, something isn't right. And then he either calls the help desk and goes, hey, I just clicked on a link and I think it's bad, or reports it as phishing and sends it up the chain. I think that's the real number. How many people clicked it aimlessly and just moved on?
I've seen it be very effective if you don't yell at them through their screen, but you call them and say, hey, we were doing this little phishing test and you pushed the wrong button. I'd like to come see you. If you can do that, they'll never do it again. And if you can do that for the executives, and the IT people, that's where your big threat is. But
well, I always say that when you do a phishing test, I've seen all the phishing programs out there. And no disrespect, there's some great phishing programs out there, and there's some great vendors out there, and they're a key component of this ecosystem and companies' ability to stay safe and protected when things happen. But I will say this, I've seen phishing tests that don't really fall into the ability to customize them for an organization. So when I look at an organization and I look at it from an attack vector standpoint, I am writing a different phishing email to different people in different parts of the organization. And I'm signing it differently. I'm sending it differently. there's a lot of, I haven't seen that level of sophistication yet reached the phishing.
So I've seen it where we did the phishing test and the results were horrible, and management got really, really mad that you had the audacity
To test them.
To test them. So it's, you want to give heads up, I guess, to the right people, but at the same time,
They're a lot of times they're more susceptible.
yes,
Because they work at a higher pace. They want to answer emails. They want to open attachments because that's how they typically get their files. Right? They're waiting for a report. They're waiting for an invoice to get something that grabs their attention about a possible deal, a possible sale, a possible,
right.
business situation. And they're more likely to click on those. They're more likely to open it.
Yes, they are. Absolutely. And, you end up cleaning a lot of things up as a result of the actions that they take. So,
Do you feel like there's a way to, you said people scare you the most.
yes.
Do you feel like there's a way to, I've asked this question a lot to other guests that I've had on the show, but do you feel like there's a way to eliminate people?
So I think the artificial intelligence and machine learning work that's going on will probably help along the way, but it's going to be a few more years.
But people still open emails. You're not going to get AI to read someone's email.
Maybe there won't be email in the future.
What will be instead of email?
Who knows? Maybe we will revert back to voice.
Wouldn't that be cool? Instead of typing.
Do you realize how much communication an executive gets every day through email? I mean,
You don't want to see my mailbox.
800 a day. And people expect you to open them, read them, and retain everything that was sent. And then you have
And reply.
And then you have the vendors where you're not interested in their product, and then they send it back to you again, and they keep doing that, trying to make you feel bad because you haven't responded. And you're like, why are you doing this to me? But I think communication overload, hopefully machine learning and artificial intelligence will filter what you need to know.
Have you ever met David Nolan from Aaron's?
Yes.
You should send him a message. David has a great way of controlling his inbox, and it is absolutely amazing. It's like he was on the show, and he kind of shared some of what some of the filters he uses within his inbox to kind of filter through some of the garbage that comes through. But I always say that any executive like yourself is like, if you want a tip from someone good, talk to David Nolan.
That sounds great.
He's got it down to a science. He goes, I've got levels of filters in my inbox, and
I find that products like Proofpoint really make a difference. Huge difference.
They help out.
Yeah.
It's always good to hear of good products out there that kind of help people. I think products also, it's all about implementation, right? Because you can get a really good product, but if you don't implement it right, you'll hate it.
It's good for both inbound and outbound, though. So it stops you from sending stuff you're not supposed to send, and it also keeps you off the blacklist of trying, spamming everybody.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on too.
It's crazy. It really is.
Do you feel like the challenge of the development of AI and machine learning over the next, I want to say 3, 4, 5 years is going to play a bigger role in cyber, but do you feel like quantum computing is the ultimate?
Absolutely. We've been waiting for years for quantum.
Do you feel like quantum, though, would make security a non-issue, or do you feel like it would bring about a greater security threat? Kind of like going from traditional bombs to nuclear weapons. I feel like quantum computing is almost the same way. Like it's going from a traditional bomb to a nuclear bomb.
So you never know what it's going to bring, and hopefully there are those that are studying that to determine what the impact of it will be. I'd kind of like to see homomorphic encryption coming on through, but
Yeah.
you just don't know how fast stuff is going to come out. And it's real interesting in the most innovative things come to the consumer market rather than to business, and then
It's a larger market. It's an easier market. Consumers buy stuff quicker than businesses.
That's true, but it sure makes a hardship where the consumer products and then the things we have to deal with in business and in government and in academia just don't keep up.
Well, that's one of those things when we were talking earlier on one of the previous podcasts, we were talking about, Equifax social security numbers and passport numbers after the Marriott breach. And we go, well, what's the new way of identification? You talk biometrics, and I'm a big proponent of facial recognition because I just feel like facial recognition, there are programs out there that create what's called a facial DNA. So if you ever travel internationally, some countries use this all the time, but they take your photo when you're in customs. And the U.S. does it too as well. If you're a non-U.S. citizen, if you're here on a visa, they snap your photo while you're at the customs booth. They do that because that generates a facial DNA. It's not only an updated picture of you at entry, but then that facial DNA is used in a database and then through networks of cameras, and some countries do it. China has a great handle on this. England, they have an amazing handle on it. I mean, they say you can't pick your nose in London without someone knowing.
That's probably true here also.
To some extent, although you don't see cameras here down every street. Like you can drive down side streets here and not see any cameras. Well, your phones and laptops, yeah, I get it, but still, I'm just saying.
I was over at the Department of Traffic, and I had no idea they see your face while you're driving. That's pretty amazing. It's like
that's how you don't get out of the ticket.
Dang.
I don't think that has anything to do with security. I think that has to do with the fact that people say it wasn't me driving, and they had to get the cameras that say, hey, it was you driving.
I don't know if they're sophisticated enough yet to actually use that picture to do what you're talking about. I don't think so.
I know of some governments, foreign nations, that actually use facial DNA. And one of them is, I actually did a report on it for a nonprofit organization, the UAE. So the UAE, when you land in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Sharjah or anywhere, they take your picture at customs, no matter what. The only people whose picture they don't take are GCC, but that's because they already have their picture when they issue your GCC ID, and it's shared within all GCC nations. But everything there has cameras. In fact, Abu Dhabi has more cameras per capita than London, even though it's much smaller than London.
So you probably would not want to go there on vacation.
Well, a lot of people go there on vacation, but what you don't realize is, I don't know if you remember the story in 2010, the Israeli Mossad assassinated the Hamas weapons guy in Dubai at a hotel. It was a very big deal. I mean, the pictures and videos that came after that, what Dubai police exposed, was the entire movement of all people who came into Dubai. So the 17-person assassination squad, they had their entire movement for the whole time they were in Dubai, from the moment they landed till the moment they departed.
So you don't really need a court system then?
Well, the court system there is a little different. I mean, privacy doesn't exist there. You don't have privacy.
Do you think privacy exists here?
I think we have the illusion of privacy here. We have an illusion of privacy. We feel like we're entitled to privacy, but we don't have privacy by our own choice. When you post everything on Facebook and Instagram, you've given up your privacy. You don't need to even look at the NSA or anyone else to be like, oh, you've willfully given that up.
It's like going to Disney World and getting the little band, and it tracks.
He was just there. He had those bands.
Every move that you
Every
make.
move you make, how long you stand in a line, what you're doing, what you eat, where you walk, where you stand, where you're taking pictures. They know everything. But that's how they customize the experience. That's how they take those Disney. I mean, what they do with the data they get, the way they optimize it, the stuff that they deal with it is just unbelievable.
We considered that technology for higher education. But freshmen are really bad about losing stuff. I know, it's bad.
Wouldn't it be funny though if like freshmen actually, if higher education, if students in higher education facilities were held to a higher standard than what they are today?
That would be great.
It's funny. We have a lot of interns here in our office, and you don't see them here today because, well, it's holidays and a lot of them are off, and it's only 3 of us here today, and it's all boys. Typically, Fridays is Pajama Friday.
It's a great idea.
No, we call it Journey Friday because we listen to Journey on Friday. We love Journey here. I'm a big Journey guy. Love Journey.
Steve Perry.
Love Steve Perry. I wanna go back to the days where I had a mullet, like Steve Perry, and we're like cut off, like like tank tops and like machine washed white jeans. I mean,
Hey,
that
why
was
not?
fashion.
Why not?
The mustache. I tried to grow a mustache once. My wife threatened me with divorce.
You have one now. You must have.
Well, she's traveling.
Ah.
So I can grow a mustache. Although what I like to do at home is when I'm trimming my beard, I'll leave the mustache on and just wait until she realizes that I haven't taken the mustache off.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then she'll be like, "What are you doing? You take that off. That is not cool. That is ugly." There's a lot of discussions happening around security folks today when it comes to not if but when, and then when happens, how do you kind of deal with those specific issues? What kind of advice, as someone who's you've done it for so long,
Yes.
and you've done so successfully for so long, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's aspiring to be a CISO? Because it's not an attractive position. The title's attractive. For some people, the money's attractive, but the position itself is very, you're a scapegoat. I mean, Alex Tan, who was just here, said, the joke around CISOs is that it's the chief internal scapegoat officer of the company when something bad happens.
So I think as a CISO, it's incredibly important to network, and it's incredibly important to make sure that you know people. Okay. In higher ed, they have security organizations that get together, and through EDUCAUSE,
Right.
we're not real good about it in government, but in the other organizations, pretty much they are. And if you're going to be a CISO, you need to get out there and you need to network, and you need to go to as many events as you can and meet as many people as you can, because I guarantee you they will help you if you have a problem. I would also tell you to constantly be going for training classes, going and learning what's going on. Go to SANS, go to RSA, go to as many things as you can afford to go to, and just make sure you are staying on top of what's going on, because you could be the scapegoat. The CIO can be the scapegoat, but if you're doing your due diligence, that's the best you can do.
The CyberHub Engage podcast is sponsored by CyberHub Academy. CyberHub Academy are cyber business operation experts, helping any size business operationalize cybersecurity within their organization, whether it be tabletop exercises, security assessments, or building a cybersecurity strategy. For more, go to cyberhubacademy.com.